I am here to inform you all of the chronic illness of asthma. I will not talk to you by knowledge that I have acquired from research, but from experience. I personally do not have asthma, but my father does. He has been suffering from asthma for 3 years. We Americans must learn to deal with the chronic illness of asthma. Asthma has become one of the world's leading killers, and it keeps going on throughout recent years. Now, what exactly is asthma? This is a question that many people ask themselves. Well, for those of you who do not know, asthma is a chronic inflammation of the lungs in which the airways are narrow. There are two types of stages. The first stage is the steady state, which symptoms are nighttime coughing, shortness of breath, chronic throat clearing, cough, and then a bit of tightening in the chest. The second and the most severe case of asthma is the acute state, which symptoms are shortness of breath, wheezing, and mostly all the time a tightness in the chest. Many people might ask themselves, how and why do we get asthma? There are so many different answers to this. Asthma can be caused by many different things. Most likely causes of asthma are through your genes, environmental, biological triggers, cesarean section in births, and psychological stress. I will first start with genes. A gene is the basic unit of heredity in a living organism. Our body is composed of thousands of genes. Although there is a great connection with asthma and genes, there is not one particular gene that is the asthma gene. Many people can have the genes that predispose them to asthma with whichever without ever suffering from these symptoms. The gene many times may not be expressed due to the lack of environmental exposure, which basically means if there are two people who have the same genes of acquiring asthma, and for example, one lives in New York City and works where there's a lot of chemicals and pollution, and the other one lives in a countryside in an organic farm, the person who is most likely to acquire asthma due to their environment would be the person living in New York City whose body is exposed to chemicals and pollution daily. Secondly, environmental and biological triggers are the number one cause of asthma. If we take a second and think, in our environment we are breathing in all day pollution, which especially the people who live in urban cities. There's so much pollution in the air that does so much harm to our health. Also, smoking and secondhand smoking are the second leaders of asthma. Also, many people do not think about it, but in your own home, you can be triggering yourself from asthma. Many homes now have mold, dust mites, cockroaches, pests, warm-blooded pets, and nitrogen dioxide. All can cause asthma. Americans are the leading number of people who suffer from stress. Stress has been found to cause asthma. And over day to day, we are suffering from more than ever from stress. Many people are suffering from stress because of the economy. Would it be bills, their kids' hectic schedules, and their work. When you start to stress, you might start to have shortness of breath, anxiety, and panic. These things can cause someone to get asthma, and if someone already has it, it will worsen it. This is why we must take things step at a time, take a deep breath, and learn to release stress. Lastly, the connection to asthma and cesarean births has been argued for many years by doctors, and are slowly coming to a conclusion. Doctors say that children born by C-section have a 50% risk of developing asthma. This sounds very strange, but this is an explanation. Babies who are born by cesarean section are not exposed to the mother's bacteria during birth, which is harmful for developmental of the immune system. The other is that babies born to C-section have more breathing problems after birth because they are less exposed to the stress hormones. The compression of the chest, since the mechanism contribute to emptying the lungs of anomic fluid. Maybe this can negatively affect lung function in the long term.